What is up, everybody? Welcome to the big speech. We're going to be covering Donald Trump and everything he has to say about the Iran war. Big day today. It's April 6th, 2026, and we are going to be covering, again, really what Trump has to say about Iran. I think we are definitely looking at a ongoing war. I think you're going to hear a lot of Trump's sentiments, the typical talk from Trump, how everything is great, there's no problems, how we're in negotiations. We're going to hear about the U.S. Special Forces operation where they were able to successfully rescue one of their own. But at the same time, Iran is saying that this was actually an operation to steal uranium from Iran. So what do you guys think about that? We're going to be looking at all of it. Honestly, there's some big stories today, and I wanted to cover all of them. So let's get right into it. If you're liking this content, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. We're going to cover everything, okay? Before this starts, we're going to look at some big stories that are happening in the news right now. Again, all of this is breaking pretty much within today. All of this is happening today. Breaking: the United States and Israel are bombing Mehrabad International Airport in the heart of Tehran right now. Bombing a civilian airport is a war crime. So again, that's interesting. The U.S. and Israel are bombing Mehrabad. That's crazy. So all of this is going down, and Trump is about to speak in about 10 minutes. But meanwhile, this is literally happening right now. This is breaking news, and it is going on. So what do you guys think about everything? Ultimately, I think what we're heading into is not going to be pretty. I mean, it's going to be bloody. You know, we're going to send troops into a bad situation. Here's another clip from Trump, and let's look at some of these clips on what Trump had to say.
And we might have.
This is what Trump said not too long ago. Just moments, maybe right during the Easter egg hunt that the White House often does. So let's take a look.
I hate to do it, but we're obliterating, and they just don't want to say uncle. They
Talking
don't want to
about
cry,
Iran.
as the expression goes, uncle, but they will. And if they don't, they'll have no bridges, they'll have no power plants, they'll have no anything. I won't go further because
that's what he
there
says.
are other things that are worse than those two. And we might have, well, the thing, if I had my choice, what would I like to do? Take the oil.
Take the oil, he
Because it's
says.
there
We're
for
going to
the
go.
taking.
We are
There's not a
going
thing
to
they can do
continue this
about it.
war.
Unfortunately, the American people would like to see us come home. If it
Yep.
were up to me, I'd take the oil, I'd keep the oil, and would make plenty of money. And I'd also take care of the people.
What
of
about
Iran,
us,
much
Trump?
better than
What about us, Trump? What about the American people, right?
they've been taken care of. It's been a horrible. They've killed 45,000 people as of a month and a half ago. 45,000 protesters. We don't
Yeah,
do
but that's
that.
because
So-
of the regime change that we're hosting. We are doing that. That's the regime change that the United States is pulling. That's us.
If I had my choice, I'd keep the oil. But I also want to make the people of our country happy. I think most people wouldn't understand that. I hate to do it,
Wow.
but we're obliterating,
Yeah.
and they just don't want to
So
say
I mean,
uncle.
I don't
They
think
don't want
that's
to cry.
true. Based on the information, it doesn't. We're not obliterating them yet. Again, I mean, literally right now, Iran is obliterating us. They are obliterating us, and they're obliterating our military. Again, we are just waiting on Donald Trump to speak from the White House, giving his statements on the Iran war and how we're probably going to be continuing that war. I see all of this happening. I don't think there's a way that we're going to be avoiding it, right? So here's some more clips. This is another clip. This is Trump. The United States government was scammed by a group of people in the Middle East. Here's one more clip. Let's take a look at this one.
We sent guns. They don't have guns. You know, we sent some guns, but the group that was supposed to give, which I said would happen to my people, I said it, I called it exactly. We sent guns, a lot of guns. They were supposed to go to the people so they could fight back against these thugs. You know what happened? The people that they sent them to kept them because they said, what a beautiful gun, I think I'll keep it. So I'm very upset with
Trump.
a certain group of people, and they're going to pay a big price for that. But the Iranian people will fight back as soon as they know they're not going to be shot and as soon as they can get weapons. If they had weapons, they
Yeah.
don't have
So, I mean, ultimately, that's that's accurate, and Trump does believe that we're just going to walk in there to the Strait of Hormuz and just take it, and it's all going to work out well for the United States. Meanwhile, all these other countries, they're not taking so kindly to it, right? All these other countries are not really, they're not getting into line. Trump claims it is highly unlikely that he extends his Tuesday night deadline for Iran again. And again, they're talking about Trump's statement on Tuesday. Apparently, tomorrow, allegedly, is supposed to be Bridge Day. and power plant day, and that is what Trump made these statements of. So kind of crazy. Just sounds like we are definitely going to be walking ourselves into a war that we're absolutely going to continue, and there's no way out of it. So this is Alex Barnacote giving an update on what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Let's take a look at this. Great analysis.
When countries do this,
be
there's
sure to give
always
him
a
a
chance
follow.
Iran has announced they're allowing ships carrying humanitarian aid to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and this could change everything. A few moments ago, Iran said, quote, "We have authorized the passage of vessels carrying essential humanitarian goods to Iranian ports via the Strait of Hormuz." But this actually gets way more interesting, and you need to know what's happening. Well, because of the war in Iran, because so many civilians are being targeted, a lot of countries around the world have actually started to send humanitarian aid to Iran. Whether it's Russia, China, and other countries that haven't disclosed their names, a lot of aid is getting into Iran. And Iran obviously needs this humanitarian aid. Nearly 2,000 civilians have been killed in Iran so far in the war by the American and Israeli attacks. And we believe that possibly
And the
millions
regime change
of Iranians have been displaced and have had to flee from their homes, meaning they're relying on this humanitarian aid.
And that also means they're going to be coming here to the United States and to European countries, and they're going to wage war on Christians and white people, and it's going to be horrible. And it's all going to be because of the Israelis.
Humanitarian aid.
And it's going to now it's just going to stop loading. There we go.
So far throughout this war, the Strait of Hormuz has been shut since the very beginning, not allowing almost any cargo ships and commercial vessels to pass through. And it seems like it's going to stay that way. Polymarket predicts there's now just a 10% chance the straits are opened by the end of the month. That's a big drop. But Iran has announced something big today that we weren't expecting. Now countries that want to send humanitarian aid to Iran will no longer have to send it through land borders like Azerbaijan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, etc. When countries do this, there's always a chance that it gets hijacked and it gets stolen by bandits in those countries. But when you can send it by sea, it's much more secure, meaning you can send more of it and better things. And so now that Iran has reopened the Strait of Hormuz to ships carrying humanitarian aid for them, it's likely they'll receive a lot more. But there is one thing you need to know. Other countries now could exploit this and use it as a way to deliver weapons to Iran. Whether it's Russia, China, or Iran's allies that want to deliver weapons to Iran, it could now be hidden as humanitarian aid. And that's why it's allowed to sail through the Strait of Hormuz. And so this could be a way of Russia and China continuing to arm Iran and help them against the Americans and the Israelis. And it's something that wouldn't surprise us if it happened. And so if that does happen, I'm going to keep you up to date. So leave me a follow because you don't want to miss anything that happens around the world.
Give Alex Barnacote a follow. He does a lot of great analysis. Again, we are just waiting for Donald Trump to speak from the White House, giving his updates on everything and what's going on. Looks like most people are ready to go. It looks like a lot of people are in this fight, and they want to be a part of the American future. But the question is Trump going to be telling the truth, or is he going to be lying, right? What is ultimately going to be the outcome of this entire speech? What do you think Trump is going to talk about? Is Trump going to talk about the war with Iran? Obviously. Are we going to talk about, though, going back into the Strait of Hormuz? Are we going to send more troops to the Strait of Hormuz? How is that really going to work, right? Because as all these other stories are happening, there's a lot of big things that are really affecting all of the geopolitical spectrum right now. And I was going to cover a lot of this at 7 p.m. tonight. We're going to cover a lot of it again at 7 p.m. tonight. Breaking: the Iranians found the ID card of Major Amanda M. Ryder of the U.S. Air Force. It has been seen that she got a B-2 stay permit from Israel, which is interesting because it only allows tourism and business. So we have U.S. Air Force pilots who, for some reason, have Israeli passports. Now, I get it. U.S. troops are stationed in Israel. I understand we have embassies there. I understand that troops are, working with the IDF. That's a problem, though. And that should be addressed. I mean, that's definitely dangerous for America, especially when all of this is happening. Again, this comes from the Megatron account. He covers a lot of good geopolitical analysis. Officially, the United States has lost 12 aircraft while trying to save the pilot. However, there are massive indications that they actually tried to seize the enriched uranium extracted from Iran. Very interesting. And we can see the video here. Pretty crazy, right? Ultimately, it's like, what is really going to happen? We have no idea of knowing. All we do know for sure is that we are in for something. They want something to happen. There is some major outcome that's going to take play in all of this. Okay, as we wait for Donald Trump to speak from the White House and give his update on the Iran war and where he thinks that we're going to be going with that, we continue to look at some of this breaking news on X. Iran attacks U.S. Al-Adari base in Kuwait with swarm of missiles and drones, helicopter hangars, and accommodations for invading U.S. forces destroyed. As promised, we will severely punish the enemy for last night's terrorist acts, says the Iranian military. So, as we can see from this video, it's getting real. Again, these are Iranian missiles. And they are attacking the U.S. Al-Adari base in Kuwait. Swarms of missiles. So, and you are supposed to believe that whatever Trump says is the truth, right? We're supposed to believe that we're not getting involved in this war. And look at all of these other stories happening and developing also. A new data center is being built in the Texas Panhandle that will use more than all the homes in Texas combined ×2. It will be the largest data center in the world at 18 million square feet. The site will span over 6,000 acres. That's 9 square miles. And it will use up to 11 gigawatts. The on-site generation is described as producing more electricity than 15 states use at their peak. Wow. So this is pretty scary.
Another 5 miles.
Let's take a look at this.
That's pretty big. How big is the new data center campus they're building in the Texas Panhandle? It's the biggest one in the world.
Yeah.
It will use as much power as all of the homes in the entire state of Texas combined.
Jeez.
×2.
You need to just say
It will
no.
use more power than 38 states. Not combined, but it will use more power than all of the power used in any one of 38 different states.
So much
The
for free
data
energy,
center
right?
campus portion of it is, I believe, 18 million square feet. It will sit on a piece of ground that is 5 square miles.
Why?
So you can drive by it for 5 miles, make a right turn, and drive by it for another 5 miles. That's pretty big. You know what the wild part is?
That is.
The company building it has no knowledge of data centers. Nope, not in the data center business.
Just getting that money.
Project Matador.
It's all about that
Look it
money.
up. Thanks.
Yeah, so again, we're just waiting for Donald Trump to speak from the White House. He should be coming up any moment now. We're just waiting for him to approach the podium, and we're going to be hearing his statements on the Iran war. Yes, I think we're going to be obviously continuing this war with Iran. I think it goes without saying. With all of the things going on, there's just no, that's obvious. We see all of the geopolitical news that's going on around the planet. Absolute panic in Europe is settling. GB News confirms Germany is preparing to ban fighting-aged men from leaving the country as they edge toward compulsory military service. France is also launching nationwide national service. Western governments are quietly preparing their citizens for World War III. Absolutely.
All 18-year-old men.
And thanks to Israel, we're involved.
And they are now putting into law that all fighting-age men up to the age of 45,
How do you like this?
are going to have to ask permission to leave the country for more than 3 months. France, similarly, are going to be introducing voluntary national service.
Is this not crazy?
People for 10 months. And you think back to Rishi Sunak and his plans for voluntary national service and how people sort of derided him, but you do wonder whether ultimately this might be coming and whether we are living in a world where we haven't quite caught up to the fact that things are very, very dangerous.
Well, yeah, and we're just walking right into it, and the media is happy to just walk right into it with you and force you right into it, all of it. And if you don't agree with it, then you're bad, right? If you don't agree with it, then you're just not a good American. Sorry, we're glitching out here a little bit. Get out of this. There we go. But yeah, so again, we're waiting for Donald Trump to approach the podium. He should be coming up any minutes, 12:59 p.m. Eastern. And again, we're waiting for Trump to speak. We also have all of the things. We also have the astronauts that are going to the moon, allegedly.
Traveling or just listening.
That's what he's talking about right here. So we'll start tuning in and looking at this.
Anyway, thanks so much for live streaming in here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 12:47 Monday, April 6th. Hopefully you had a great weekend. I know a lot of things happening in our country and around the world. We're going to cover a lot of the stories here. And of course, when we go out, I'll learn how to say that.
Again, here we go. There we go. We're live now.
Methylene blue and over 400 prescription medications that.
So again, Trump has not approached the podium yet, so we'll continue looking at some breaking news.
not waiting
and
for
some
the
bigger
system
stories
to
that are
help
kind
you,
of
but we
developing.
believe in preparation and in medical freedom and in having
Trump
real
should be
options when it
approaching the podium soon here. But again, until that happens, we'll just continue looking at some of the news stories that are on X, some of the things that have been affecting the markets today. A lot of big stories. I mean, again, as we're waiting for Trump to approach the podium, we'll just read through some of these headlines on X. It's been crazy. Again, we just read that. Iran rejects U.S. ceasefire proposal. That's huge news. So Trump is going to talk about how we have this deal and how we're going to be done with the war soon. Maybe not. Maybe a lot of this is going to be talking about the imminent World War III that we are just going to be a part of. This is Beirut right now. Israel is wiping out entire apartment buildings in Lebanon's capital at 2 a.m. while families were sleeping. No, not military bases, not battlefields, civilian homes. Again, looking at some of these other stories, we have absolute panic in Tel Aviv. Netanyahu desperately begs Israelis to hide in protected spaces, claiming the chances of being hurt are non-existent. He is terrified to admit that the air defenses have completely failed and massive missiles are obliterating Haifa. So again, we're going to cover all of this news. We're just kind of waiting for Trump to approach the podium. We're going to cover everything he has to say and what's kind of going on now. He should be stepping up soon. It's 1:01 p.m., and he was scheduled to speak at 1 o'clock, so I imagine he'll be making his fashionably late entrance. But again, what do you guys think is going to happen? What do you guys think is going to come out of this Trump-Iran war? You know, honestly, I think it's going to be really bad for the United States. I think we should not be involved in this war. I think we should, if we're going to be involved in a war, then we need to be in wars for self-defense. We need to be in wars that are going to secure the Western hemispheric dominance. Venezuela, I was good with that. That made somewhat sense because it benefited America, you know. And what about Greenland? Did Trump chicken out on Greenland? Do we have a taco situation with that? Trump always chickens out, right? So what is the truth about all of this? What is really coming? What is waiting for us? Okay, so as we wait for Trump to approach the podium, he should be coming up any time now. We're just looking through some of these X stories and some of the most relevant and hottest hitting headlines as of current date. So again, we're just kind of waiting for Trump. We'll look at some of these different videos though. So again, this was Netanyahu basically begging Israelis to hide in protected spaces.
And expressed deep
Do you guys think Netanyahu is alive or dead? Do you guys, and again, a lot of people are just going crazy on anybody questioning Netanyahu's survival. But listen, his brother was bombed and killed, for as far as we know. And there was a 7-day sabbatical period where we didn't hear from any of Netanyahu's family. That's typically a well-known tradition in Jewish religion to take 7 days off. And I believe it's called a mitzvah. And if I'm correct, I might be wrong on that. Or the Shiva. And so I'm not Jewish. I'm a Catholic. I don't know. But all of these things, and then you also had the AI videos that have been coming out. And listen, they're AI. I make AI for a living, right? So I can tell you what we're seeing with all of this, I just don't know. I don't really know how trustworthy all of the videos are with Netanyahu and whether or not he actually is alive, to be honest. What do you guys think? If he is alive, I do believe he probably has fled the country and we might be dealing with body doubles for the rest of this time. And yes, that's a real thing. Might be dealing with the masks. Yes, CIA, we've been doing that a long time. We've been using masks a long time. Trump could be wearing one, right? He's totally a different person now. And I think a lot of today's speech that we're going to see from Donald Trump, we're going to see him talk about how we are going to be in this war with Iran, but because he's going to frame it as an American win. He's going to talk about the U.S. troops that we saved and secured, and he won't talk about uranium during that entire operation. So maybe that was the underlying reason behind all of that. So again, we're just waiting for Trump here. Should be popping up any minute on the screen, approaching the podium. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Let's go back to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Who's going to be at the press conference?
So here we go. Here's Trump.
Not going to be.
This is previously aired, but again, this is still live. Just waiting for Trump to approach the podium.
Mr. President, how would it not be a war crime to strike Iran's bridges and power plants?
Because they killed 45,000 people in the last month, more than that.
But why? Why did they do that? Well, it was a regime change.
As much as 60. They kill protesters. They're animals. And we have to stop them, and we can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
But who created the civil disorder and the protests within Tehran and Iran? Who created the disorder? I would call that Mossad. That's what they do. And they do it in the United States. They do it with all of the nations who basically they are targeting.
Simple. They want a nuclear weapon. They've been trying for a long time. I stopped them with the Obama horrible Iran nuclear deal. I stopped them in a lot of different ways. We got rid of Soleimani, the evil genius. He was an evil genius. We got rid of him. And then we stopped them with the B-2 bombers not so long ago. And we didn't do
I mean,
it.
we're at a point now where we like have to win this war. We have to win at this point, or else we're really screwed. So again, that was previously aired by Trump. We're still waiting for for Trump to approach the stage live.
That are happening, including
Looks like he hasn't approached yet.
17th, President Trump out there in the Southwest,
Just kind of waiting for all of these
Arizona
developments.
that are watching today.
And so who knows what's going to happen with all of it. But honestly, at the end of the day, I think we're in for a rude awakening. I think Trump and the Trump administration, Pete Hegseth, they're in for a rude awakening. Iranian spokesperson exposes that Trump's operation to steal enriched uranium was an absolute failure. He says the U.S. military suffered a disastrous scandal after facing fierce resistance from the Iranian people. Okay, so he's just speaking Iranian here. But that's basically what is said in this entire speech is that, who knows what's true, right? That's why we're trying to determine the truth. That's why we're looking at all of this. That's why we're looking at these headlines. That's why we're looking at these stories. Again, the White House pastors, Trump was raised up by God to protect the Jews from Iran. Okay, so who knows? Is Trump a prophet or a messiah for the Jewish people? I don't know. If you're Jewish, you tell me. What's the truth? And again, big news for crypto. White House reporter says banks and crypto firms have privately reached a deal on the Bitcoin crypto market structure bill. This is all, so all of this is happening during all of this, okay? So we're waiting for Trump to approach the podium to give his speech on things that are happening. Meanwhile, insiders are dumping at record levels. And again, this comes from the No Limit Twitter X account. He's pretty good. He's pretty accurate, like 97% accurate in all of his predictions in finance. Everything will be fine, right? Yeah, look at that. Scary stuff. And so when we're looking at all of these markets, we also have XRP appears to be emerging from the ashes here, like a phoenix. Pantera Capital CEO Dan Morehead confirms Ripple XRP is held in U.S. government digital asset reserves. So let's listen to this. So this is a big statement. Again, as we're just waiting for Trump, all of these statements are happening in the background, right? All of these developments are happening in the background. So what do you guys think about this? Just kind of waiting for this to load here. Because, of course, when you're live streaming...
U.S. has a strategic Bitcoin reserve. They actually do have a strategic digital asset reserve that has Ripple as well, and Cardano and two others.
Yeah, crypto's the future. It's going to happen.
So, but most countries, I think, will stick with just Bitcoin.
Yeah, they say that. I don't know how true that's going to be, though, right? I mean, honest to God, who knows? So let's take a look back at the White House. Let's see if Trump is finally talking. We're just waiting for him to approach.
So at the top of the hour, the White House video that we're going to see live will be President Trump's presidential news conference. It's happening today at 1 o'clock, a few minutes after. All this as we're
so we're a little delayed.
Stories at this hour.
I think Trump is going to really give us the same spiel.
Right now, of course,
we're going to hear a lot about how great the economy is, how great the U.S. military is doing, how we're going to win the war with Iran, and he's going to slowly normalize the conversation of being at war with Iran, kind of like we're already talking about it now, right? And so they're going to normalize all of this to really make it the narrative that's going to be run with. So again, we're just waiting for Trump to approach. Who knows what's going to happen? I think it's going to be big, though. I think we're going to be seeing more war statements, more war rhetoric. All of that's going to it's going to happen. I mean, honestly, who knows? But you never really know. One thing you do know, though, for sure, is that if we're really going to be serious about the markets, if we're going to be serious about the future, then you have to understand that while all of this is happening, $4.8 trillion, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says Iran war could drive inflation higher and push financial markets down further. So the elites appear to be selling their crypto. They appear to be selling their assets. But who knows? Is this an organized FUD, right? Justin Michael Saylor's strategy buys 4,871 Bitcoin worth $330 million. So you got some... investors who are selling everything. And then you have some, like Michael Saylor, who's keeping and buying more Bitcoin. They seem to be rather enthusiastic about where the markets are going. Me personally, I think there's a lot of positive things. We're seeing a lot of positive things with the Clarity Act. They're saying that may pass by April or May, which has a big relation to what's going on with crypto and what's happening with that. Again, we're just waiting for Trump to speak. Here we go. Looks like we're live. Here he is.
Great Easter. This is one of our better Easters, I think, in a lot of different ways. I can say militarily.
This is Donald Trump from the White House. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe and support the show.
Good afternoon. We have quite a bit to discuss. We'll go into pretty good detail. And we have the people that are most involved. We'll give you exactitude. And we're here today to celebrate the success of one of the largest, most complex, most harrowing combat searches. I guess you would call it a search and rescue mission ever attempted by the military. Generally, when planes are knocked down in war, especially when you're fighting a strong group.
I'm curious to see what Pete Hegseth's body language is going to be like. We're going to study that for sure.
You send in 200 men to pick up one, and it's something that's usually not attempted as much as you want to attempt. And bad things happen to that one or two. And in this case, we did two, and might not have been attempted before, but we did. And we had great talent, but we got a little luck too, I would say. And
Trump looks nervous.
We were helped by a lot of people, a lot of great people. And it was an honor to be involved with it. It's very historic. This is a rescue that's very historic. It'll go down in the books late.
Yeah, but remember, Iran is saying that this was actually an operation to steal Iranian uranium.
Deep inside enemy territory in Iran while participating in Operation Epic Fury, where we're doing unbelievably well, well at a level that nobody's ever seen before. The entire country can be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night.
So yeah, he already made truth social statements on that.
Aircraft and landed alive on Iranian soil. I immediately was asked to make a decision. I ordered the U.S. Armed Forces to do whatever was necessary to bring our brave warriors back home. A risky decision, because we could have ended up with 100 dead as opposed to 1 or 2.
Thank God they got
decision to make.
Thank you to our
But
troops.
in the United States military, we leave no American behind. We don't do it. Within hours, our armed forces deployed 21 military aircraft into hostile airspace, many flying at very low altitude, being shot by bullets. You bring rifles into play when you're going that low, but there are also certain advantages. And in broad daylight over Iran for 7 hours, at times facing very, very heavy enemy fire. We have a helicopter that's got a lot of bullets in it. It's amazing. We just realized how good those
crazy operation.
Those weapons are. Those our machines are. Nobody has the equipment that we have.
Literally a Call of Duty mission. Like if you played Call of Duty Black Ops, like that's what it reminded me of.
Anywhere in the world by far. The flight crews and warfighters aboard those aircraft took extraordinary risks to rescue their fellow service members. This first wave of search and rescue forces successfully located the pilot of the F-15, and he was extracted from enemy territory by an HH-60 Jolly Green II helicopter. Fabulous machine as our warriors faced gunfire at very close range. It's amazing that when you look at the machinery, what happened, that nobody was injured. Meanwhile, the second crew member, a weapons system officer, highly respected colonel, had landed a significant distance away from the pilot. When you're going at those speeds, even if you go out 2 or 3 seconds later, it's miles and miles away because you're going fast. He was injured quite badly and stranded in an area teeming with terrorists from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps rough group, as well as besieged militia and local authorities. Many, on top of
Somebody's
everything
phone
else,
is ringing.
they
It's not
told
mine.
the communities actually within side of Iran, the people of Iran, they were given a tremendous incentive to find this pilot. Despite the peril, the officer followed his training and climbed into the treacherous mountain terrain and started climbing toward a higher altitude, something they were trained to do in order to evade capture. They want to always go as far away from the site of the shoot down. You want to go as far away because they all head right to that site. You want to be as far away as you can. and he was injured, and he was an amazing, amazing thing. He scaled cliff faces.
Mind you, this is the beginning of the war. This is just the beginning.
His own wounds
and we're already taking these kind of hits, though.
American forces
Special ops.
to transmit his location. They have a very sophisticated beeper-type apparatus that is on them at all times. And when they go out on these missions, they make sure they have lots of battery space and they're in good shape. And this one worked really well, amazingly, saved his life.
It was lucky.
We immediately mobilized a massive operation to retrieve him from the mountain holdout.
That could have been so much worse.
Going higher and higher. The mountain kept getting rougher and rougher and really very, very hard to find. The second rescue mission involved 155 aircraft, including 4 bombers, 64 fighters, 48 refueling tankers, 13 rescue aircraft, and more. We were bringing them all over, and a lot of it was subterfuge. We wanted to have them think he was in a different location because they had a vast military force out there. Thousands of people were looking. So we wanted them to look in different areas, so we were scattered it all over like we were right on top of them. We had 7 different locations where they thought, and they were very confused. They said, well, wait a minute, they've got groups here, they've got groups there. It's amazing.
It appeared so on X, on Twitter X.
Listening to
I was watching the entire story.
People, these great generals, General Raisin Kane was amazing, and Pete Hegseth was amazing. But I listened to the whole thing. It was pretty amazing. So they had all these different sites where everybody thought he was located. We think we have him over there because they have 9 planes circling a little area that's 25 miles down the coast. So in a breathtaking show of skill and precision, lethality and force, America's military descended on the area, the real area, engaged the enemy, rescued the stranded officer, destroyed all threats, and exited Iranian territory while taking no casualties of any kind.
But taking some uranium, maybe.
The heroic F-15 weapon system officer had evaded capture on the ground in Iran for almost 48 hours. That's a long time when you're in tough shape and when you're bleeding. It's a long time. When we left, as you probably know,
they're definitely going to make a movie about
planes,
this.
Pretty old planes. It carried a lot. We needed a lot more equipment going in than coming out, obviously, because going in, we needed to.
Who else thought it was crazy that Top Gun Maverick literally predicted all of this?
But the sand was sandy, wet sand.
The new Top Gun
we thought
Maverick.
there may be a problem taking off.
Insane.
Because of the weight of the plane, and then we also had all the men jumping back onto the planes, and they got pretty well bogged down. And we had a contingency plan, which was unbelievable, where lighter, faster aircraft came in, and they took them out. We blew up the old planes. We blew them up to smithereens because we had equipment on the planes that, frankly, we'd like to take, but I don't think it was worthwhile.
Yeah, that's what I had heard.
Another 4 hours there.
I also heard that Iran blew it up. That's also been some rumors that it was actually Iran that blew it up.
We didn't want anybody examining our anti-aircraft and other equipment. So these were large planes that were old and pretty old, and we blew them up. And we had faster, lighter planes come in, and they were able to land on the sand. We needed the bigger planes because we had so much equipment that we needed. We took 3 helicopters over there, which were very strongly used. And
I love this, but at the same time, what is the purpose? This is the beginning of the war. This is the beginning of the Iran war. What's going to happen, next? Not good stuff, I feel.
The rotors were off.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We rebuilt these helicopters in less than 10 minutes. And that was one of the more amazing things. These are helicopters. Small, unbelievably powerful, but small, very small, so it can get into certain areas. And they got them off the plane, and they rebuilt all 3 of them in a matter of less than 10 minutes. It's pretty amazing what the genius of these people. Who would think that? You'd think it would take 5 days to build them. And in some companies,
it was a
it would
badass
take
operation,
5 days.
though, no doubt about it.
Do it well.
Successful operation, 100%.
As Commander-in-Chief, I never
Very impressive.
forget the extraordinary risk taken by the warriors that we send into battle and the genius. I mean, think of it, having a contingency of 3 planes waiting because we think the sand is so bad that we probably won't be able to take off. And the planes really got bogged. The sand this was not much of a runway. This was a farm, not a runway. It's a farm, but it did the trick. But to have a contingency as opposed to having to wait 2 days, can you imagine right in the middle? This was central. This was right, you would call it central casting if you were doing a movie for location.
Oh, there's that word again by Donald Trump. He
Probably the
loves
toughest
that word,
area of
central
Iran, where
casting.
We'd be sitting there. So these planes came in, those pilots came in so fast and so quick and got out of there.
What does that mean when he
Everybody
says
got
central
aboard and
casting?
just
You like does that mean it's like this big conspiracy? That's like what everybody on Twitter
out.
believes.
One load
Honest to God,
out.
who knows?
One load out. It happened.
Are you
And we were
trusting the
watching, and we said,
plan?
that's amazing. It's, in many ways, I was almost more
It's not
impressed
good.
by the contingency that we had than the fact that, if we would have had a runway or decent soil. But it was an amazing thing. But we thank God for every single one of them and the talent. The genius is not even talent. It's genius. It's the whole ball game, every one of them.
Yeah.
If you look at what we did with Maduro, we went into a military compound, a massive, with thousands and thousands of soldiers. And
That was
within
an
a matter of
awesome
minutes-
operation.
And he lived behind iron doors. There were steel doors.
That
broke
was
them down
insane.
so
That was
quickly.
sick.
And within almost minutes, he was in the back of these planes. It was a similar group. Incredible. We have incredibly talented people. And if the time comes, we move heaven and earth to bring them home safely. We're going to bring our people home safely. I want to thank every member of the U.S. Armed Forces involved in these historic operations. They really were historic. It's just not something that's done. And you'd understand it. Not that they don't want to do
Look
it.
at Hexeth.
But when you're going into areas, when you look at these helicopters, when you look at the amount of bullets and everything else that they took, when you go into these areas, you don't come out like we came out. God was watching us. I tell you, well, it was the Easter. We were
For now,
in Easter territory, I guess. But God was watching us. Amazing.
we got to get out of
'Cause when you look
Iran.
at the machinery, they took damage.
We're
Tells
like
you-
right at the beginning of
first
the
thing I
war,
said is,
you
these
know?
are unbelievable machines, how they flew back and
Like we
not even much
just
of a
sent troops out there, and as soon as we did, literally almost lost
As you
some
probably
special
know,
forces
we didn't
guys.
talk about the first one for an hour, and then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker, and talked about there's somebody missing. They basically said that we have one and there's somebody missing. Well, they didn't know there was somebody missing until this leaker gave the information. So whoever it was, we think we'll be able to find it out because we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. And we know who, and you know who we're talking about, because some things you can't do. Because when they did that, all of a sudden, the entire country of Iran knew that there was a pilot that was somewhere on their land
Interesting.
that was fighting for his life. And it also made it much more difficult for the pilots and for the people going in to search for him.
Okay,
All
but
of a
isn't
sudden,
that glorious Pete
they know that
Hegseth's
there's
job?
somebody out
Isn't that
there.
his job to remain like the head of the Department of War to make sure shit's secure?
because a leaker
Clearly he ain't good at
leaked
it.
that we have one, we've rescued one, but there's another one out there that we're trying to get. So actually, the country, Iran, put out a major notice, you all saw it, offering a very big award for anybody that captures the pilot.
Yeah.
So in addition to a hostile, very talented, very good, very evil military, we had millions of people trying to get an award. So when you add that to it, but we have to find that leaker because that's a sick person. Probably didn't realize the extent of how bad it was. I can't imagine that the person did,
Look at
but
Pete Hegseth. He's
we
like,
find
oh
out
shit,
it's
I'm
national
guilty. I'm
security,
fired.
and the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say. And
Why does
that doesn't
Hegseth look
last
so
long. I
guilty?
think everybody would understand it. They put this mission at great risk. They put that man at great risk, and they put the hundreds of people that went in looking for him, because everyone now knows that we're going in. Over the past 37 days, America's armed forces have carried out more than 10,000 combat flights over Iran, unheard of, striking more than 13,000 targets.
He says
The
that like it's a
F-15
good
we lost
thing.
last week was the first manned aircraft downed by the enemy in this entire operation, with thousands and thousands of flights. They got lucky. It was a lucky hit. You know, eventually you get lucky.
Those things don't matter.
But
shouldn't be
we
there.
got lucky too.
There's no
because we got
tactical
both of them
advantage.
back. But it's a record that is unparalleled in the history of military air operations. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. It's such an honor to be involved with it. We were up late at night, and then we were waiting for those contingent planes to come in, and we say, come on, let's go, get in, because they're waiting out on this farm without a runway, with wet, crummy soil, sand, mostly sand, wet sand, and it eats planes alive. And we're waiting, and we're saying, I hope that one can land and take off. And they came in like magic, boom, 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 one after another. It was like genius. So impressed by that. Because we were a little concerned. We said, boy,
Trump loves a good bomb.
they don't get in and get up fast. We're sitting in the
Trump loves
and
a good
that's
operation.
Called Iran Prime, right, General? That's where the whole bet is. And here we are sitting there waiting for a plane. But they came in so fast and so hard, and these guys knew exactly what to do. Let's go, come on, get in, let's go. Bwah. They came one right after another, not at the same time. They don't want to come at the same time. They had to come right after each other.
Now
They
it's your
didn't have any
turn,
room.
Trump. Go fight Iran, Trump.
There
It's
was
your
barely
turn.
any room to land. Tiny little patch of very wet earth and sand.
Time to send Barron
So
Trump in. Let's
I'm
go.
so proud of the people
Gotta
that
send-
I
gotta
have
send them, too, now.
standing up here with me, and many others that worked. I mean, so many. Steve Witkoff's over here. He's doing fantastically. Jared Kushner. But the
Oh,
people
fuck
that are
Jared
here,
Kushner.
The job they
No.
did is amazing.
We
And I
hate
think
Jared Kushner,
I'm
no.
going to introduce.
We don't
head of
hate
the
anybody,
CIA,
but
and he
come on.
is a man who he's central casting. Okay.
There's
If we
that word
cast a
again.
movie, he's
Central
gonna play that.
casting. Central casting. It's like it was always a plan, like a conspiracy.
Job that night. He did something that
It's
I
what
don't
they
know if
want you to
wanna
believe,
talk
the
about it. If you want,
military-industrial
you can.
complex.
I'm not sure he's supposed to. I'm not going to talk about it, but the CIA was very responsible for finding this little speck. It's like they used an expression on one of the shows. A general was talking about. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Finding this pilot, and the CIA was unbelievable. And you may, if you can, you'll talk.
And one of the pilots apparently had an Israeli passport. Did you know that? We just looked at it before this episode. Go back and watch the beginning of this.
So, John, do you want to say a few words?
And why is the CIA involved? Oh, yeah. Because of the alleged
President.
counterterrorism.
Privileged to be here with
Okay.
you today.
This is
to
John
share what we
Ratcliffe.
can about this exceptional mission and to recognize the ingenuity and bravery of those who executed it, as well as the leadership and resolve of the president who ordered it. One thing that has been clear to me in this role is that the
Time to study some
flawless
body
military
language. Let's look at
operations
everybody's
the
reactions
Department of
here.
War is known for are hostage to flawless intelligence.
Hegseth
saw
looks
that
pissed.
in the
He looks
skies
like he's in trouble,
over
I mean,
Iran
or
in
guilty or
Operation
something.
Midnight Hammer last summer. We witnessed it in Venezuela during Operation Absolute Resolve. We've seen it against the cartels.
This
in
guy on the
Western
right
Hemisphere.
here. This dude on the
Seen
right
every
led that
day
operation,
in
Absolute Resolve.
Operation Epic Fury, including this mission to rescue an aviator buried deep behind enemy lines. Because it is the unique tradition of the U.S. Armed Forces that we leave no man or woman behind.
It's literally Top Gun Maverick.
This was a no-fail mission. That was the spirit in
Predictive
which the
programming,
president
talk
put us to
about it.
work, and we were determined not to let him down or our airmen down. As an agency, the CIA possesses unique capabilities that only the president can deploy. Some of these capabilities fall under covert action authorities.
Don't
And
forget
because
about the
covert
Mossad.
means exactly
Can't
that,
forget about Mossad now.
I'm not going to be able to tell you everything that you want to know. At the president's direction, we deployed both human assets and exquisite technologies that no other intelligence service in the world possesses to a daunting challenge, comparable to hunting for a single grain of sand in the middle of a desert. This was also a race against the clock, as it was critical that we locate the downed aviator as quickly as possible, while at the same time keeping our enemies misdirected. For that reason, in addition to the human and technical assets deployed by the President to find our airman, CIA executed a deception campaign to confuse the Iranians who were desperately hunting for our airmen.
CIA. They
Saturday
never
morning,
say Israeli intelligence.
we
So they
achieved
work
our
one and the
primary
same,
objective
hand in
by
hand.
finding and providing confirmation that one of America's best and bravest was alive,
The pilot had an
concealed
Israeli
in a mountain
freaking
crevice.
passport.
still invisible to the enemy, but not to the CIA. That confirmation was relayed by Secretary Higbee to
CIA.
the President, and the operation quickly moved to the execution phase. Following the successful exfiltration on Saturday night, our intelligence reflects that the Iranians were embarrassed and ultimately humiliated by the success of this audacious rescue mission. When the President asked me to lead the CIA,
Probably.
he made it clear, get back to basics, no politics, no agendas, tackle the hardest problems, and execute the toughest missions. This President is about results, and now that's what his CIA is about too. The professionals at the agency and
Let's
at the
normalize
Department
the
of War
CIA doing our
deserve
military
immense
ops.
credit for their flawless execution during this daring mission. Their skill, creativity, and courage are unmatched on the battlefield wherever they step. But none of that matters, and all of that is wasted without a president with the political courage to put them into action. Mr. President, I've had the privilege of seeing you act with political courage in the best interest of the United States up close on a daily basis, and I'm grateful that this successful mission has given the American people a window into that as well. The Secretary and Chairman will tell you that our service members' confidence is boosted by a Commander-in-Chief who has their back the same way they have yours. And I know
So not
that
true.
the confidence of
They do not
CIA's
have Trump's
officers
back at all.
is boosted by the knowledge that their work is informing a president who's not afraid to make the hardest decisions when the stakes
I mean,
are
it should
high.
tell you everything you need to know that the CIA was behind this entire op, and that they're always around Trump, and that they're controlling everything he does. And then who works in tandem with the CIA? Israeli intelligence, Mossad.
on problems that have confounded both sides of the political aisle for nearly half a century. It is an honor to serve under a leader who just proved that you can believe him when he says, no matter what, we will leave no one behind. We will come for you. Thank you.
It was a badass operation, 100%. It was awesome. I mean, that it was tier level. At the same time, it's just like, I don't know.
Well, John,
I
thank you
wonder
for
if
the
the real
collaboration with
mission
CIA
was to
as well.
extract the
Incredible
uranium. I wonder
and
how
ongoing
true that is.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Oh,
fellow
here we go with
Americans,
this
and
guy.
especially the brave warriors in our armed forces. Over this Easter weekend, the United States military has once again proved why we possess the greatest fighting force the world has ever known. In two extraordinary combat search and rescue operations deep inside enemy territory in Iran, our warriors executed missions of breathtaking skill, courage, and precision. When our warriors are unleashed, as this president has allowed them to be, they are unstoppable.
But could you imagine if we applied
When
our U.S.
American airmen
military
were
to the
down
right
behind enemy
targets?
lines.
Like, could you imagine if we were fighting the right enemy who hates us, Israel? No, instead we're fighting Iran, a sovereign nation of mostly Christians. Believe it or not, by the way.
Mountain terrain, under the constant threat of Iranian forces closing in. Ultimately, it was an impotent Iranian threat. And today, as the CIA director mentioned, Iran's military, and we know this, is embarrassed and humiliated, and they should be.
SNL is going to rip him
Now,
apart
these
this
are not
weekend, I
routine
feel like.
operations. They were high-risk,
Pete
high-stakes
Hegseth.
missions conducted in the heart of enemy territory. This was not just barely into Iran. This was deep into Iran, involving coordinated strikes to suppress threats, deception tactics to protect our teams, and full synchronization across air, ground, and special operations. The Iranians are still asking themselves right now, how did the Americans do this?
Probably. America's
one
fucking
downed
badass.
airman
We are the
evaded
best.
capture for more than a day, scaling rugged ridges while hunted by the enemy.
But a stupid
was
operation,
finally
though.
able
It should have
to
never
activate
happened. It
his
wasn't a
emergency
stupid operation, but it just should have never
His
happened.
first message was simple, and it was powerful. He sent a message, God is good.
Right.
In that moment of isolation and danger, his faith and fighting spirit shone through. You see, shot down on a Friday, Good Friday, hidden in a cave, a crevice, all of Saturday, and rescued on Sunday. Flown out of Iran as the sun was rising on Easter Sunday. A pilot reborn, all home and accounted for, a nation rejoicing. God is good. Despite incoming fire and unforgiving conditions, our troops brought every American home. No American lives were lost. We leave no man behind.
That's good.
And that is not luck. It's the result
I heard
of
there was
unmatched training, superior technology,
injuries,
and
though.
unbreakable
Lots of
warrior
injuries.
ethos,
Guys who
and
got
sheer
shot or
American
something, fatalities.
grit.
I wasn't sure.
Our special operators, pilots, and support crews performed with near perfection under fire, and they were lethal. Just ask any Iranian soldier who dared attempt to get anywhere near that pilot before or during that mission. Death from above. Our troops turned a potential tragedy into a resounding demonstration of American resolve and capability. That's what excellence in uniform.
But now
looks
our
like.
guys got a target on their back. Now our special forces have a target on their back, and now that they're probably even being watched even harder. How are we going to be able to get anything done from this point? How are we going to really execute a ground operation if we can't even? We barely got a troop out of there.
Airmen went down. President Trump made it clear we will leave no one behind. The first mission, the first of two, was an audacious daylight thunder run right up the middle. It was authorized in less than 2 hours from that pilot going down when we knew where he was. And it was authorized in the middle of the night because anybody that's worked for this man knows he's up in the middle of the night. Authorized immediately, without hesitation, audaciously. The second mission, as soon as we knew where that pilot was, and John was certainly helpful in that, also executed immediately. You know, I looked up at my screen when the final mission was complete inside our SCIF, our secure facility. And we have a running VTC, a running coordination cell. And the top of it read 45 hours and 56 minutes. For 45 hours and 56 minutes, we held that call open for coordination. From the moment our pilots went down, our mission was unblinking. The call never dropped, the meeting never stopped, the planning never ceased. The president demanded rapid, decisive action. He backed our military with the full weight of his resolve, refusing to let enemy propaganda or tactical setbacks deter us. His leadership ensured that every lethal and non-lethal resource was brought to bear, that our forces had the authorities and the support they needed to succeed. When the president says he has the backs of our warfighters, he means it. And it means a great deal, and it's a big difference on the battlefield.
But if something would have happened, this would have been a complete disaster. Like, we got lucky. That's what they're not saying. Like, we did get lucky. This was a near tragedy. It would have been really bad. I'm glad we succeeded, and that's badass. It's awesome, but
just like this one.
Still.
Under his command, America projects power with confidence and brings our people home with victory. And that continues today, by the way. Per the president's direction, today will be the largest volume of strikes since day one of this operation. Tomorrow, even more than today. And then Iran has a choice. Choose wisely, because this president does not play around.
So yeah, I
can
think they're
ask
going to hit.
Soleimani,
I think they're going to strike
You can
tonight.
ask Maduro. You can ask Khomeini.
I don't think they're going to wait till tomorrow to strike. I think we're going to see some big strikes happen probably tonight around 2 a.m. That's what I
stand
think.
in awe. The chairman stands in awe. We all stand in awe of your professionalism and bravery.
Might be
We serve
happening
for
now.
You embody the very best of America. To the rescued airmen and their families, welcome home. Your courage and endurance, the quiet declaration of faith amid the storm, inspires us all. God is good every day. And to our adversaries, watching from Tehran, let this be a clear message. The United States military will go anywhere, at any time, to protect our own and complete the mission. We execute with precision. We control the skies. You see, we flew for 7 hours in daylight over Iran to get the first pilot. And we flew 7 hours in the middle of the night to get the second. And Iran did nothing about it. We fight with honor.
It is
And under
crazy.
President Trump's leadership, we win. So God bless our troops. God bless President Trump. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon,
We'll see.
everyone.
We'll see what happens. I
thank
mean,
you, Mr.
I'm
President.
glad we
Thank you,
did it.
Mr.
I'm glad we
Secretary.
succeeded in the operation. I'm glad our troops are safe. I think it was badass. It was an excellent operation. But at the same time, it's like, shouldn't have ever really happened. Shouldn't have had to happen, right? That's what I feel, at least.
In the event that we have to go do this again sometime. And I cannot stress the importance, as the President said, around operational security. The Secretary and I will do a more detailed briefing.
Again, he
tomorrow
was the
morning.
same general that was in charge of the Operation Absolute Resolve with the 160th Special Aviation Regiment with Delta Force. And they had strapped Maduro with his wife. That was that entire operation. So this guy
Center, which
has been
handles the
working
Central
closely with
Command
Trump
Area
on all of these ops.
Responsibility, declared an isolated personnel recovery event for a U.S. Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle, call sign Dude 44, which was down in hostile Iranian territory. The pilot and weapons system officer had both safely ejected and were isolated behind enemy lines. Following confirmation of active rescue beacons and on the direction of the Secretary and by order of the President, a rescue operation was launched with the stated purpose of bringing both Americans home safely. As the Secretary said, several hours later on the morning after positively locating the front seater, call sign Dude 44 Alpha, and aware of an
Dude
aggressive
44 Alpha.
ongoing
Sounds like an
search by the
Xbox
enemy,
gamer tag.
a U.S. Central Command plan was approved by the Secretary and the President. Shortly thereafter, a U.S. Air Force Combat Search and Rescue Task Force comprised of A-10 Warthogs in their Sandy role, and I'll describe what that is in a minute, HC-130 Combat King 2s, HH-60 Jolly Green 2
Yeah, let's just tell him everything we got, everything we used. Tell him the whole thing, all of the info.
Comprised of combat rescue officers and pararescueman operators audaciously penetrated enemy territory in broad daylight to find, fix, and recover Dude 44 Alpha from behind enemy lines.
Seriously.
This was an incredibly dangerous
Dude 44
mission,
Alpha.
an
Is that really
incredibly
what his call
dangerous
sign was?
undertaking, but a filled promise made to every American warfighter that you will not be left behind. We will always come find you, and we will always bring you home. Over the next hours, the Search and Rescue Task Force crossed the beach, entered into Iranian airspace, protected by a fighter strike package, and moved into the objective area, all under fire. En route, as some of you have seen on social media, the helicopters took gas off the C-130s and pressed onward and forward up into the objective area. While this was ongoing and out in front of them, the Sandy flight of A-10s and other remotely piloted aircraft, drones, and other tactical aircraft were violently suppressing and engaging the enemy in a close-in gunfight to keep them away from the front seater and allow the pickup force to get into the objective area. During this engagement, one of the Sandy aircraft, the one primarily responsible for communicating with the downed pilot, was hit by enemy fire. This pilot continued to fight, continued the mission, and then upon exit, flew his aircraft into another country and determined that the airplane was not landable. This was one of our A-10 Sandy aircraft. The pilot then made the decision to eject over friendly territory and was quickly and safely recovered and is doing fine. After picking up
This is Top
Dude
Gun Maverick.
44
It's literally
Alpha,
the same thing.
The HH-60
It's the
Jolly
CIA
Green
just
fight
putting their
was
hands
engaged
together.
by every single person in Iran who had a small arms weapon.
Because who wrote the
And
movie,
one of the
obviously.
aircraft, the trailing aircraft, took several hits. The crew sustained minor injury, and they are going to be fine. A note for those of you that do not know what a Sandy does. named after the flight call sign that did this very mission in Vietnam, flying A-1 Sky Raiders and A-7 Corsairs. A Sandy has one mission: get to the survivor, bring the rescue force forward, and put themselves between that survivor on the ground and the enemy. They are committed to this. This is what they live for, and this is what they've trained for over many, many years. The A-10 force and the rescue force did a fantastic job rescuing Dude 44 Alpha. He was recovered Friday afternoon. As I said, and the nation needs to know this, this was an incredibly brave and courageous mission.
It was.
And a testament to the courage, skill, and tenacity
Definitely
of the Joint
was.
Force and our leaders.
We would have never had this under a Kamala Harris or a Democrat. I mean, like, Republican, Democrat, they're both evil, but like a Democrat would have been like, that would have never happened.
Meanwhile, the backseater,
Can
as
only
the
be happy
President
we
and
have
the
Trump for
Secretary
these
said,
kind of
had
ops.
continued to work and survive. Through the hours of daylight, Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater, evaded. Using every means available, the efforts of the United States military, the Central Intelligence Agency, and others were attempting to find and locate with precision Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater. A note on
People got to look into this Dude 44 Bravo. I feel like there's a conspiracy in there somewhere. There's something on X that we're going to find about this name. They keep repeating it too much.
Operation is the spirit of attack inside the heart of that downed aviator. Their will to survive, their will to evade, their
falling
will
asleep,
to
Pete
recover is everything. In this case, the backseater's absolute commitment to surviving made much of our efforts possible. On Saturday, 4 April, after establishing positive communications with the backseater, we learned, as the president said, that he was injured and actively evading enemy forces. And thanks to our interagency partners, we were able to get eyes on his location and positively ID him. Throughout this entire time, the enemy force continued to search for 44 Bravo, and the joint force continued to strike them over and over and over again. Fighting off marginal weather in Iran and the enemy's search for a second time on Saturday, at the recommendation of the CENTCOM commander and at the approval of the Secretary and the President, we launched a rescue task force to recover Dude 44 Bravo. Again, this came to the President and the Secretary for approval, this time with a much larger force package based on the time that the enemy had to prepare to find 44 Bravo. Again, this force was protected by A-10 Warthogs using the Sandy call sign. And this force had one single mission: do everything they can to bring an American home. This meant having a plan, being prepared to execute that plan, and, more importantly, being prepared for multiple, simultaneous contingencies. And because of this force's professionalism, grit, and determination, fight off two enemies at the same time: the enemy searching for 44 Bravo and contingencies, which anyone who has done these types of missions knows we run into every single time. The force fought off both of those enemies incredibly well. During the period of darkness on Saturday, and as the Secretary said, into Easter Sunday and into the daylight, the force fought its way in and rescued Dude 44 Bravo. They were protected overhead by an air armada, including tactical drones, strike aircraft, and others. The force
I couldn't
fought through
imagine the stuff we
multiple
used over there.
simultaneous contingencies, something no other nation, no other military can do, and safely returned Dude 44 Bravo, the backseater, home, and all other Americans home as well. At midnight 12 local Eastern time, Easter Sunday, more than 50 hours after the start of this operation, the Joint Personnel Recovery Center declared Dude 44 Bravo, both the front and backseater, returned to friendly territory. The courage demonstrated by both the pilot and the weapons system officer while isolated and them invading the enemy cannot be overstated. Their grit and warfighting tenacity is a direct result of the absolute trust they have in our rescue forces, their training, and their will to survive and return. They always knew that we would be ordered to go get them, and they always knew that we would be coming to get them. These two operations reflect our nation's most sacred obligation to our military service members.
Yeah, it is a good look, though. It is a good
no
look.
one behind, bless you. It also perfectly captures the first truth of our special operations forces, that people are more important than hardware. That is the standard we live by, and the rescue forces that execute these missions operate under a clear motto: these things we do that others may live. Their actions were a direct embodiment of that commitment to others, and I could not be more proud of each and every one of them today.
Yeah, but this guy's given up a lot of intelligence. I mean, I don't know how much disinformation is, deliberately put inside of this speech, but definitely not smart. We're giving a lot of intel here.
The United States of America will recover our warfighters anywhere in the world, under any conditions, when we want to. We will always bring overwhelming skill and firepower. To every member of the Joint Force, our interagency partners, the leadership at CENTCOM, and our leaders at the department and above, thank you. I'm proud of each and every one of you, and thankful to our deployed forces and their families. And lastly, and most importantly, to Dude 44, welcome home. Job well done. Thank you.
Dude 44.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Was an amazing op.
And, these two gentlemen.
America first.
From day one, they've been perfecto. I got to know General Kane in my first
Now
term
let's apply
because
this
he was
energy
able
to Israel.
Take out ISIS in 4 weeks
Huh?
instead of the
How about
4-year
so?
projection.
I'd like to see it.
That was given to me by other much lesser generals. I said, if I ever do this again, that's going to be the head of my Joint Chiefs of Staff. And we worked it that way, didn't we? It's amazing. He took out ISIS. We defeated ISIS in 4 weeks. I was told it would take 4 years. I flew to Iraq to find out, with the greatest equipment in the world, why would it take 4 years? And he told me, sir, it won't. It'll take 4 weeks and you'll have time left over. And that's exactly what happened. So he's great. And Pete, all I can say is that he was treated very unfairly. And now those same people that treated him unfairly, that fought against him, they called me up saying, what a great choice he was. They said, well, what happened during his nomination? What happened to you? I'm telling you, it's people that were not for him, senators, friends of mine. Sir, I don't think you're doing the right thing.
Well, we
Now
shouldn't
they're
be in
calling me up.
Iran.
What a
That's why they're saying it, because Pete Hegseth is just getting us into this war, and he has no expertise. He has no business getting us into this war with Iran when we should be applying this to Israel, who is actively trying to overthrow our government, our country.
Seeing something moving up in the mountain. This is at night. And they kept the camera on him for 45 minutes. He wasn't moving, and they said, probably wrong, but we're seeing something moving. This is a vast mountain, vast, thick, with bushes, trees. He said, we see something moving 40 miles away. It was the head of a human being, I'm telling you, it's moving. And then all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, he moved a lot. Stood up, and they said, we have him. And that was really the beginning of something incredible. We had an idea where he was, but not specifically. That's a big mountain. So I want to thank the CIA, too. I don't think they get enough credit for the great job they've done. Yes, please.
The CIA, they don't get enough
Thank
credit.
you very much, Mr. President, for this great opportunity.
The CIA, they don't get enough credit for the regime changes that we don't need to be doing, and how they do all of these regime changes on the wrong countries when we should be applying that towards Israel. Could you imagine?
What was your reaction when you...
Or maybe there's already a regime change going on in Israel, and you just aren't allowed to know.
...to the international market with your support as United States of America?
Well, I expected that. We've gotten along with the Kurds for a long time, so I expected that.
Another question, what would be your reaction if the Iranian people rise up against their regime during a ceasefire, Mr. President?
Well, they should do it, but again, the consequences are great. I mean, they were told if you protest, you will be shot immediately. You saw what happened to the young wrestler. He was a great champion, by the way. He was a great wrestler, one of the top in the world. And he and his two friends were hung. And all they did was say a little bit about liberty. They wanted liberty, and they were violently executed. But the number is up to probably 45,000 people were killed. So, you know,
yeah, but the CIA is creating that entire regime change. We all know that the CIA is the one creating the regime change in Iran, the disorder, and then we come in, we create the order out of chaos.
Let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You know, we got
the same line, the same lie.
With a much different regime than before. We're dealing with different people. They're smarter. I think they're sharper and far less radical. We have regime change, but we didn't do this for regime change. We did it for fact. And my view is very simple.
You talk about the CIA. We're talking about regime change. That is what we do at the CIA. It's all about counterterrorism and regime changes, counterinsurgency.
7 in the morning, and then we're going to do this.
That's what happens. That's how this works.
If you don't do that, they say, I have a plan. These people know what the plan is. Everybody here knows what the plan is. But it's very unfair to say, because I don't mind being insulted. I've been insulted for many years by the fake news. But you can't. It's so bad for people that are so pro. You just saw two great, and John Ratcliffe, 3 unbelievable people. They have a plan. Every single thing has been thought out by all of us. But I can't reveal the plan to the media. So, you know, but we're just thrilled by the success of this operation. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
The CIA would be doing that.
They would be, and it's suffering. They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians,
sure.
And we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave,
Mossad,
hitting those areas,
Mossad,
say,
all
back,
day
come
long.
Back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world.
Neither do you, Trump. You're being misled by your own administration.
Remember the great woman protests where they had 400,000, 500,000 women, and they were all enthused, and they were going to protest, and everybody said, oh, the regime's going to come to an end. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom, 5, 6 different areas. A woman would go down right between the eyes. They had snipers. They had 5 snipers. That's all it took. And those 400,000 or 500,000 women said, "Oh my God, what's that? Oh, look over there." What's that?
Donald Trump.
A woman shot right between the eyes.
The way he describes this, I'm not laughing at the incident. I'm laughing at the way Trump articulates it.
Start hearing the purr through the vast number of people, and then they said, "Oh my God, who would do that?" And they're incredible people, but they've lived so horribly. They've lived so horribly. You know, Iran was a great country if you go back 25 years ago.
Yeah, before Israel's Mossad changed their regimes and went in and destroyed the peaceful religion itself.
And I know so many.
The peace,
I know coming
the peace
from New York,
that existed there.
Originally, I know so many people from Iran. They're incredible people. Incredible
CIA
energy
changed all of that. This is the CIA's doing.
Very, very brilliant people. But when you're standing in a group and protesting, and you have a woman. In the case of the woman, remember the Great Woman March. Everybody was saying, oh, this is the end of the country. And then snipers selectively picked. Every single one was shot right between the eyes from a long distance. They were on top of buildings. Nobody even knew where they were. Where they coming from? This wasn't like
they came from Israel. That's where they came from.
Bad. They've done that too. They did that recently. This was
this is so hard to listen to because it's just lies.
On the top of buildings, aiming and hitting women.
Israel
and when
did
they
it.
see people go down,
100%, and CIA.
In the reverse
We
direction.
created the
and
regime change.
Again. And a lot of the news doesn't talk about it.
We created the chaos in their country.
Women's rights. You want to see women's rights? You're not going to see it there. It's amazing
Because
when
of
I
the
see
CIA
some of
and
the stupid
Mossad.
people, like AOC +3, all that group. They talk about freedom for Iran. They don't tell you the real facts. Women, men.
Yeah, AOC's wrong too. The
How about
Democrats are wrong too.
Gays for Iran. They kill the gays. They throw them off buildings. So I wonder what's going on. I can only say this. They want us to keep bombing, even if it jeopardizes, because their life is in much greater danger. They want freedom for Iran, but it's very hard for them to protest. I actually tell them, I said, don't go
Trump
out.
is good, man. He's good at what he does. He is a wartime president, but overall, this is still not good.
It's bravery. We're all brave, right? You're brave. I'm brave. We're all brave, but we're also intelligent.
This is designed to get you on board with the idea of going to war with Iran, make you feel like, oh, this is a good thing for America. It's not.
And hitting you right between the eyes every single time. And you're looking here, and you're seeing, and you're looking here. You're out of there. I don't care who it is. Please.
Mark Meredith, Fox News.
I know that.
Oh, thank you.
How would I know that? Go ahead.
America's watching. No.
Good job.
Can we go back to the weekend? First off, was everyone on board with the operation, or were there people that were trying to talk you out of going through with the operation this weekend?
Not everybody was on board.
Somebody else within
No,
you?
there was military people, very professional, that preferred not doing it. These two were totally on board, which was very important. If they weren't, it would have had a little difficulty. But no, there were military people that said, you just don't do this. You don't go into the heart of a very powerful military. You know, this is, hey, you have countries and countries. You have some countries where military is not their strong suit. This whole thing is militarized like nobody's ever seen before. Half the people are wearing uniforms. And we had people within the military. Usually it's not done. That's one of the reasons. You know, I was surprised. Somebody said it's the only time it's ever been done. I said, that's not possible. But it is possible. Because you're going into hundreds of thousands of soldiers along the path. I mean, look at some of the helicopters, how they got hit. So, yeah, there were people within the military that said it's a wise. And don't forget, how many men did you send altogether, approximately, for the operation?
I'd love to keep that a secret.
Okay, well, we are. But I will tell you, the number.
Yeah,
I'll keep
we've
it a
given way
secret,
too
but
much
it was
information already
hundreds
in all of this.
And hundreds of these people. That's pretty good. Is he central casting? But
Third time he
hundreds
said
of
central
people
casting today.
went into this journey. Hundreds of people could have been killed. Forget about the equipment. A lot of equipment. Nobody cares. Hundreds of people could have been killed. So we had people that were within the military that said this is not a wise, and I understood that, but I decided to do it.
Was there a point that that you were thinking there's too much on the line, and somebody was saying maybe we abort this now and wait? I mean, given the resource, like the general said, it seemed like there was so much on the line here. You must have been thinking this could have completely changed.
So
the next
the
3
first
years.
one, which was in many ways as dangerous as the second, I guess it gets, because we're flying over daylight. You know, we're the best at the world at night. We have goggles that nobody. We have goggles. I've tried them. They're unbelievable. I see better with the goggles at night than I see without them during daylight. I mean, daylight today, we have a beautiful day. You see just as well with goggles. In many ways, it's enhanced. So we have the best in the world. So it's much safer for us to do it at night, whereas other people, no other country has that capability. They don't have that particular piece of equipment like we do. But when I was told flying and in daylight, I think we flew 7 hours over Iran, and that's a long time, over unbelievably hostile territory, where they have nothing but weapons. We took out their anti-aircraft, which is great. We took out their radar,
for Israel.
which is great. We took out a lot, but they still have, you know, what hit this one was a handheld shoulder missile, heat-seeking missile. So it's not like, you know, they're totally whatever. And they have probably a little luck, because you got to get lucky. But they shot it, and it got sucked in right by the engine. But these guys were out of there. They were great. Their timing was great. But no, I was told that this is a very dangerous mission. I understand. They didn't say it's a foolish mission. They said, you know, we're going to be sacrificing hundreds of people do this. I mean, you have tankers that are flying over this area.
Hundreds of people. Like, so what if this would have gone wrong? Like 100 soldiers just would have died, and then what? We would have had a reason to what? Nuke Iran. If 100 troops would have died in this operation, the plan would to have been basically to nuke Iran in retaliation. And so either way, Trump was going to get what he wanted here.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Given that
Glad it
you
worked
are now
out
dealing,
for
you say, with a
America,
more
but
reasonable,
this is not going to help us
less,
long term
extreme
with other
leadership in
countries at all.
Iran, what does that mean for the
And this is not going to help us secure the Strait of Hormuz. That's the whole point of this. There's no military or tactical advantage to this fight.
Assume control if we do something and they assume control. I think it's very positive.
And Trump is being completely misled by
I don't think you'd see the
the
radicalization
Israelis around
that
him.
you have seen in the last. Look what happened. I mean, women are being executed because they're not properly clothed, they say. They're not properly
The CIA
clothed.
created
They
all of that,
execute the
though.
women. They absolutely, they shoot them.
CIA did that regime change a long time ago.
No,
Changed
you have a
Iran
much
from
different
within
group of
for this
people. Now,
moment.
I'm not saying we are dealing with them. Essentially, they have till 8 o'clock tomorrow night, Eastern time. But we are dealing with them. I think it's going well. Mr. Witkoff is here. And JD.
So Trump says until 8 o'clock p.m. tomorrow night, Iran has to make a deal. Well, I think that we're going to see some kind of attack tonight at 2 a.m. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., that's my prediction.
7 years. I'm standing here with a much more powerful Iran as of a month ago, not anymore. Right now, they are decapitated. But I'm standing here a month ago with a much more powerful Iran than it was at any point during 47 years. This should have been handled by 7 presidents, a lot of presidents. And those presidents are saying now, every one of them to their friends, we should have done this a long time ago. So it's not something I like doing. It's very dangerous, and we're getting them at the height of their strength. If I didn't
It was all for the
terminate
uranium,
Barack
ladies and
Hussein
gentlemen. The
Obama
uranium.
Iran nuclear deal, they would have had a, don't forget, that was a path to a nuclear weapon. Remember this. He chose Iran over Israel, pure and simple. How Israel can vote for a Democrat is if you're Jewish in New York City or any place else in this country, and how you can vote for a Democrat is unbelievable, because he chose Iran, a very hostile Iran. Remember when he filled up a 757?
Why do we
with
care
cash?
what the Jews have to say? Why do we care how this impacts Israel? How about we talk about America, dude? Like, talk about America first, maybe? We don't care about Israel anymore. Seriously.
Well, if you look, because, you know, the other Saudi
So
Arabia,
infuriating.
Qatar,
That ain't our
UAE.
country. We're fighting
you
this
take a
war
look.
for
I mean,
Israel,
I can
dude.
add Kuwait,
Are
and
you
I can
Jewish,
add
Trump?
Bahrain,
Seriously.
and you
Not
can add
okay.
others.
No loyalty.
He chose such an unlikely candidate. Nobody could believe it. Frankly, if you're going to choose
Trump is
between
definitely
Iraq
Jewish.
and Iran, he should have chosen, he
Ugh.
should have befriended Iraq. He went in the exact opposite direction of all thinking, and he made a terrible mistake. But that was a road to a nuclear weapon. And when I terminated that, everyone
A
said,
nuclear
oh, we
weapon.
terminated
We
it.
keep hearing about how Iran has a nuclear weapon. I don't even want to hear Trump for the moment, because it's like, listen, Iran has been having a nuclear weapon or about to enrich a nuclear weapon. All this talk has existed since 1967, because Netanyahu created the narrative so he can get into this war for the greater Israel project. That is what happened. And all of the people around Trump are Israelis. So they are going to tell him that Iran is the greatest threat. Sorry, but just had to
And it was
correct
one of the
him
best
there.
things they ever did, because he would have had a nuclear weapon. Then he would have had another nuclear weapon, had those beautiful B-2 bombers not gone in 8 months ago and obliterated that site. And by the way, the word is obliteration.
This guy is
CNN
totally,
said,
Trump is either totally compromised, totally cut off from the correct information about Israel, or who knows? I mean, this guy truly is just trying to kill America. I don't know what
we
the
had
agenda
all those
is.
planes flying in at night with very little cover, unbelievable stealth planes, and they were able to do their job. If we didn't do that, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon at a high level.
Oh my God!
Either one of those
Everybody's
two
so
instances.
sick of
And if they
hearing
did,
the lies
in my
about
opinion,
that.
I told this
That's
to Bibi
not
Netanyahu
true,
yesterday,
Trump. That's not
Israel
true.
would have been extinguished.
Yeah, and it would be
Large
good for the
portions
rest of the
Middle
world if
East
that happened.
Would have been extinguished,
Seriously.
whether it's Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, or others. And you saw that with thousands of missiles raining down upon them. They didn't think they were going to be hit. They thought they'd be.
Israel is bombing freaking Lebanon with white phosphorus bombs. We're supposed to feel bad for Israel. Israel killed JFK and Charlie Kirk. We're supposed to feel bad for Israel. Israel did all of this to our country. Israel got us involved in Iran war. Why do we care about Israel? F Israel. Seriously.
Big one.
Not to be hateful at all. No means. But at the same time, so wrong. Trump is selling out America.
I terminated that, and then the B-2 bombers. And I did one other thing. I had killed Qasem Soleimani, who was an evil genius. And the reason I did it, I heard he was going to knock out 5 of our military bases.
Who told you that? Netanyahu?
And had he lived, I believe we would be fighting perhaps a different Iran right now, because he's never been replaced, you know. And I did one other, but this one was not picked up. Osama bin Laden. If you read my book, I said you got to take him out 1 year before the World Trade Center came down. So I wish
bin Laden, who was a CIA interpreter.
But
Interesting.
You, as a president.
The people who are advising Trump, the CIA, they created all of these things. Everything Trump is saying now that is such a problem. Like Iran having a nuclear weapon, or the regime change in Iran, or the protester being shot. All of this came from the CIA. This happened because of the CIA.
48-hour ultimatum. And secondly, would a new ceasefire include Israel, or would it just be between Iran and the US?
I can't talk about ceasefire. But I can tell you that we have a active, willing participant on the other side. They would like to be able to make a deal. I can't say any more than that.
Trump said, can't talk about the ceasefire. Iran already rejected the ceasefire about an hour and a half ago.
Who are you with?
My name is Dia Kurd. I'm with the largest Kurdish media outlet, Ruda Media Network. It's based in Iran.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, you said before that you don't want the Kurdish.
Oh, look at your Jewish producer and your Jewish media guy in the back.
Do you still want them to stay away, or what role do you expect them to play now?
I'd rather have them stay away. I'd rather have them stay away because I think they bring with them some problems and some difficulties. And I don't think they bring death. To themselves. But I'd rather have them stay away. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who are you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
failing?
Are you concerned?
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are you concerned that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to war crimes?
No, not at all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people.
They're war
great
crimes, Trump.
And because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran, we're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are
this just goes to show, he is surrounded by bad information.
Really sick, from a policy standpoint, from a any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich,
Trump is totally misled.
Nuclear weapon, you can tell you.
That is Netanyahu's narrative. That is the state of Israel's narrative. And, of course, I'm not getting views, and nobody gets to ask these questions that are totally true.
You no longer have credibility at the New York Times because the New York Times said, Trump won't win the election, and I won in a landslide. I won every swing state. New York Times said, Trump won't win the election. New York Times has no credibility. The credibility they have is it used to be all the news that's fit to print. The old gray lady, it was great, but they're running on past fumes, and you can't keep doing that. You have to be able to give the correct news. And people like you, who I know, are fake. You're fake. Go ahead, please.
You're fake, Trump, and you're a liar, and you're a sellout to America. It's very unfortunate, too, because I voted for you 3 times. Traitor.
So which is it? Are you winding this down, or are you escalating
I can't tell you. I don't know. I can't tell you. Depends what they do. This is a critical period. They have a period of, till tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I gave them an extension. They asked for an extension of 7 days, right? I said, Steve, give them 10 days. 10 days is up actually today, so I gave them 11, I guess, indirectly. I thought it was inappropriate the day after Easter. I want to be a nice person. They have till tomorrow. Now, we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this. But we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And after that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah. Stone Ages.
So Trump just doubled down. He said we're basically going to bomb them if they don't do exactly what we want. So we're going to bomb Iran into the Stone Ages if they don't give us exactly what we want.
I would say it's a very big priority because, see, that's different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them. We can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can
That's
carry
so
them in
not
trucks,
true.
large trucks, a water mine, drop them in the water, and now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion to don't worry about the mine. You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water. So it's not like
it's
the
their
rest.
territory.
We can knock out their military. We already have. We've knocked out their Navy.
We
We've
had the
knocked out
Strait
their
of
Air Force
Hormuz.
completely.
Now we're going to
Knocked
have
out
less of it because of you, Trump. We had the Strait of Hormuz. Now we don't.
Droppers. They don't have any mine droppers anymore, but they put them on other boats, and they could drop them. I'm not even sure they have any mines there, by the way. I'm not sure. I'm personally, they say there might be 8. I don't know. I think there might be none. Because they're very good bullshit artists. That's why for 47 years.
No, the
they've been
Israelis are
bullshitting
clearly,
other
because they have
presidents.
you by a they have you right around their finger. You
People
can't
are living
tell
in
the truth
hell.
or discern
You
it
live
for
in
1 second
that
in your
country,
life.
They're living in hell. No, I think that 47 years of this stuff is long enough. They're at the weakest point they've ever been. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft weaponry. They have no radar. They have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication. But all I want to see is I want to have a safe world. And you're not going to have a safe world
With Israel.
will be gone.
Good. We
The
need
Middle
them
East
gone.
will be gone.
Please.
And then they're coming for Europe. And I have to tell
Israel's
you, I'm
coming
very
for Europe.
disappointed in NATO. Very. I think that NATO,
What is the Kalergi plan again? Wasn't it the Jews who said that Europe will never be the monolithic culture and society that they once were? Wasn't that the Jewish people who said that?
But
yeah.
they said it loud
Shut
and clear
up,
at the
Trump.
beginning when I
Liar.
spoke to UK of all. I would have said they would have been the first because they're the oldest. And I say, yeah, I'd love to have a little help. He said, no, sir, we'd rather wait till you win. I said, I don't need help after we win. They have 2 old broken aircraft carriers, barely work. I said, I guess we can use them. Who the hell knows? I called the general. He didn't even want them. He said, we don't really need them. We got the SS Abraham Lincoln, sir. We don't need them. Do you know, we have, in terms of technology, we had one day 101 missiles going at 2,700 miles an hour, aimed at the Abraham Lincoln. 101 missiles. Out of 101 missiles, 101 missiles were shot down. Unbelievable technology. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know if that would have been possible, but 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. 101 missiles heading to a ship that's not that far off the coast. And out of the 101 missiles, we shot down all 101. We have weaponry. The Patriots are unbelievable. We have weaponry that's unbelievable. Yeah.
Let's not embellish and give everybody the info.
Go ahead, please. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said earlier today during the egg roll that you would like to take Iran's oil, but Americans want U.S. forces home.
Correct.
What's that trade-off?
If I had my
Does it
choice,
take too
if I had
much
my
time?
choice, yeah, because I'm a businessman first. With Venezuela, as you know, the war was over in about 45 minutes.
Yeah, that was
And
awesome.
we have great people running Venezuela, very good people. I mean, the relationship is good, and we are a partner with Venezuela.
The CIA's favorite
taken
president, Donald
hundreds
J.
of
Trump,
millions of
baby.
barrels, hundreds of millions.
The CIA
Over 100
president.
million barrels already is in Houston, refined and out, and paid for that war many, many times over. Many times. You know, the old days, to the victim. Okay, you know that. To the winner belong the spoils. Go the spoils. And I've said, why don't we use it? To the victor go the spoils. And we don't have that. We haven't had that in this country probably in 100 years, because even the Second World War, you look at the Second World War, we didn't have it with the Second World. We helped rebuild all those countries. We rebuilt Germany. How about Germany telling us that, well, it's not their war. We had nothing to do with it. They wanted me to go and tell them everything I was doing. We didn't know anything about it. Well, if I would have told them, they would have leaked it, and we wouldn't have been nearly as successful, possibly, right?
Right.
But to the victor belong the spoils. So we haven't heard that in, I think, maybe hundreds of years. Now with Venezuela, and we, just so you understand, the people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president. But we're very happy with the president-elect that we have right now. The
All about himself. I hate to say this, but it's like, dude, where's the America first president? Seriously, like, I love Trump. I really do. But so occupied and owned by Israel because of the Epstein files.
had a mess. And you know what happened? ISIS formed. Those generals and those
The
soldiers
Israeli
got together,
Secret
the police got
Intelligence
together.
Service, ISIS, yes, created by Mossad.
Venezuela's been an incredible,
And Trump thinks he's
situation.
fighting
We went
just
in,
ISIS.
We were very successful, military power like nobody's ever seen. The general, Venezuelan general said, I was on that site. I said, I've never seen ferocity like that. I've been doing this for 40 years. He said, I've never seen it. They hit us from 17 different, they were all set. They saw that big, beautiful aircraft carrier, the Ford in that case, and planes were pouring off it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So typically when you see that late at night, you know, you could be in trouble, right? And we were all ready. They had their equipment. It was Russian. And they had Chinese equipment. It was all set. They were going to give us a fight. He said, and then they came. And they came at speeds like we've never seen.
Like, who's
And they
running
came
our
at
country?
17
You know,
different
like, who's actually running America, honestly?
people. That was a lot of angles. They hit him from
Because
every
it cannot
angle.
be
He said,
Trump.
we knew it was over in 3 minutes. We were waiting for him. Their equipment didn't work. And there's a reason it didn't work. Someday we'll explain that to people. They pressed the button. Nothing happened. They pressed it again and again. Nothing happened. And he said, we knew this whole thing was over in 3 minutes. We've never seen any, he used the word ferocity. The ferocity of these planes from 17 different angles, and it was over. They went inside. And remember, that was on a military base with thousands of soldiers. And those soldiers looked and they said, get the hell out of here. Thousands. We didn't have thousands. We had like 200 people. So we have a great military. And I'll tell you what, somehow this rescue captured the world's attention, more so than normally. You're talking about 2 people.
Ugh.
But this rescue captured the world's attention. But we did it in Venezuela. That was amazing. And now we have a very bad man in prison and going to trial. I mean, he released, aside from the drugs, which he was terrible, Maduro released hundreds of thousands of people from jails into our country. Drug dealers, murderers, the worst people in the world were released into our country because we had a stupid president who probably didn't know, and we had a border czar who never went to the border.
Trump, we can't say that you're not also stupid when you are literally letting Israel make all the shots and calling all the shots for you, dude. Like, you are not running your country. Israel and Netanyahu is running your country.
One of them. Brandon, ask him all the time, how are we doing? How are we doing? And we now, I'm proud to say, have a totally sealed border. 9 months, nobody has come into our border. And
That's
nobody
not
even
true at
tries
all.
because they know they're not going to get through. So we don't have caravans anymore.
There's literally
So
no
maybe
border.
one or
We
two
don't have
more
a
and
border
we'll be
wall.
done.
Wow, listen to that media room. That's crazy.
Are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the strait?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water, all right? No, we have a concept where we'll charge tolls.
I don't know.
Okay? I thought you meant us. Your question would have been more accurate if you said us. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So just to clarify, in order for Iran to successfully meet your deadline tomorrow, do they have to make a deal, open the strait, or both?
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else.
Mr. President.
Big statement for the oil markets right there.
Glory be to God in this conflict.
Oil
Do you
price is
believe
going to be
that God
going up.
supports the United States actions in this
I do,
war?
because
And have you
God
sought
is
his
good,
direction?
because God is good, and God wants to see people taken care of.
There's
God
that
doesn't
line
like-
again. They keep saying that God is good because they're trying to like get people on board with this idea of going to war with
These two
Iran.
guys don't enjoy it. You know, people say, "Oh boy, they're so tough." I don't like seeing people killed. I've ended 8 wars. Nobody's ever done it. The person who won the Nobel Prize came to me and said, "You deserve the Nobel Prize." She announced that when they announced, they said, "Goes to Maria. She's a great person, really a good person." She said,
the lies.
No. This is ridiculous.
The gaslighting.
They gave me the Nobel Prize. President Trump ended 8 wars. I could go over every one of them, including India and Pakistan, where the Prime Minister of Pakistan said President Trump saved from 30 to 50 million lives. That makes me much happier than what we're doing right now. That makes me much happier. We have one more to end, by the way. Okay.
Yeah, who's telling you that? Netanyahu.
Yesterday in your Truth Social, you called the Iranians crazy bastards.
True.
What is your response to critics who say that
I don't care about critics.
What is your response to critics who say that it is your mental health that should perhaps be examined as this war continues?
I haven't heard that. But if that's the case, you're going to have more people like me, because our country was being ripped off on trade, on everything for many years until I came along. So if that's the case, you're going to have more people. Dasha, go ahead.
Isn't it interesting? If you look at the Jew in the background, you could, I believe that's because I could tell by the wardrobe there.
Are there certain kinds of
He's not even trying to ask a question.
I don't want to tell you that.
Interesting.
I don't want to tell you that.
Well, there he is.
We have a plan, because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock. And it'll happen over a period of 4 hours if we wanted to. We don't want that to happen. We may even get involved with helping them rebuild their nation. And you know what? If that's the case, the last thing we want to do is start with power plants, which are among the most expensive thing, and bridges. You saw the bridge. The bridge went. We were very close to a deal. And then I got a call from Mr. Witkoff, Mr. Kushner, and JD saying, I think they're breaking the deal. I said, tell them that's okay. Don't worry about it. But tell them to look out their window and watch. And within 45 minutes, I gave the order to knock out the biggest bridge. I gave the order, knock out the biggest bridge in, I believe, the Middle East, but the biggest bridge in Iran. And within 10 minutes after I gave that order, that bridge was over. So do I want to do that? No. Do I want to destroy their infrastructure? No. It will take them 100 years to rebuild. Right now, if we left today, it would take them 20 years to rebuild their country, and it would never be as good as it was. And the only way they're going to be able to rebuild their country is to utilize the genius of the United States of America.
And China and Russia and the EU and NATO.
Your displeasure with NATO in the past, is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance, and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO's a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone.
So
who's gonna?
So how are we gonna actually get permission to put our aircraft carriers and all of our military tech on the coastline of these countries? Then, Trump.
South
Yeah,
Korea
it does
didn't
matter.
help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us?
It's a good point here.
Japan. We've got 50,000 soldiers
Very
in
good
Japan
point there.
to protect them from North Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff. Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And do you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice. But we have 45,000 people, soldiers, in harm's way, and right next to Kim Jong-un with a lot of nuclear weapons. 45, which should have never happened if a certain president, I'm not going to mention this president because I happen to like him, believe it or not, but if a certain president did his job, Kim Jong-un would not have nuclear weapons right now. But they were all afraid to do their job properly. But just to conclude and just to finish, Japan didn't help us, Australia didn't help us, South Korea didn't help us, and then you get to NATO, NATO didn't help us.
Because they don't want to be involved in a war that is specifically only going to benefit the state of Israel and their future trade dominance in the Middle East.
It's been excellent. Qatar has been excellent.
And they are
UAE has
winning.
been excellent.
Israel's winning this war because they have our president completely confused and distorted on facts.
The only planes, really, that we lost with friendly fire, they call it. I call it unfriendly fire. They unfortunately didn't know how to use our great Patriots. The pilot said, what kind of a missile's coming at us? Patriot. Boom. They got out. Because they know a Patriot never misses. So they had beautiful Patriots. There were planes heading in their direction. Unfortunately, they decided to shoot those planes. They were our planes. So, NATO is a paper tiger. Now, he's coming to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy. Secretary General is great. And Mark Rutte, he's a great person, but he's got... And you know, it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland.
We
They
do
don't want
need
to give it to
Greenland.
us, and I said,
I agree with
bye-bye.
this completely.
Okay, thank
Let's
you very
fucking
much,
take
everybody.
Greenland.
Thank you.
Okay, so Trump just ended his statement. Trump just concluded his statements about the Iran war, and he ended it with, I still want Greenland. So that's an important statement to make. And then on top of that, we also have the statements made by Trump basically stating that with this entire war, he doesn't know whether or not we're going to be in a ceasefire or not. Donald Trump says that, he's still buying the narrative that Iran is going to enrich a nuclear weapon. They're going to enrich uranium, and then they're going to build a nuclear weapon. He's still convinced of this because this is the Israeli Netanyahu narrative. And so he's buying into all of that. And the negative side of this is that ultimately it's hurting America. It's hurting the United States. This doesn't benefit America. It doesn't benefit America to be in this war. We had the Strait of Hormuz already. We already had it. We had it all. We were good to go. And now we don't. Now we don't have it. Now we don't have the Strait of Hormuz. So that's not good. Not good at all. Right? So at the end of the day, we need to secure our sovereignty as Americans. We need to be able to honestly put our foot down and be like, hey, we don't want to go to this war with Iran. Hey, Donald Trump, you're being misled by the Israeli government. They are misleading you on the facts of this war. And the people who are surrounding Donald Trump are telling him that this war is a good thing, that we need to be fighting Iran, that we need to be going into this unnecessary war that is only going to benefit the state of Israel in their current trade in the Middle East. They're going to be a dominant superpower in the Middle East with trade. They're going to own everything, the entire triangle of death, and then Iran, Turkey, Lebanon, which they are conquering and annexing right now, and they're dropping white phosphorus bombs. There's the difference, between the America's conquest of the New World and then Israel. They tear everything down. The Israelis burn everything down. They blow everything up. They destroy the innocent, bomb Christian villages. What did we do when we came to the New World, huh? What did the Europeans do? We built farmland. We built communities. We built cities. We built towns. We built homes. We traded horses. We brought gunpowder over here to defend themselves and all of these things. We did all of this stuff. We are so much different than the state of Israel, who's currently annexing the entire Middle East. And Donald Trump is all for it. He's all for it. Complimenting Jared Kushner, and he's complimenting Steve Witkoff, who are both suckers for the Israeli government. And so these people aren't benefiting America. These people aren't benefiting the United States. There's no benefit to any of this. And so that is the number one threat to the United States today, is that, honest to God, we need to be able to understand we are not in a good position of success when we are quite literally, we are completely occupied by this other country. We are completely occupied. And so all I know is that this is definitely not good for the United States. And so what do you guys think about the entire war? I'll be on at 7 p.m. and we'll talk about some of these stories. We'll talk about what Trump had to say tonight. Ultimately, I think this is pretty wild, though. I think it's pretty crazy. I think we're obviously going to be in this war for a long time, according to Trump's statements. And at the end of the day, we can only hope that Donald Trump's advisors around him start telling him the truth, or he starts learning the truth himself. Or who knows? Maybe he's just always been working for Israel. Maybe he was always an Israel first president. In my opinion, there was certainly no America first in there. It was all for the benefit of Israel. He said, "Oh, they want to kill Israel. They want to do this to Israel. Israel. And it's like, really? What about America? I'm glad this operation was lucky and saving these soldiers, these pilots, this Top Gun Maverick movie, this predictive programming, incident. Listen, at the end of the day, it's a good thing that we won. Yeah, it's a good thing that we got our troops out of there. But it's also, this is the beginning of the war. We just started. And we're already taking these kind of hits. We're already, risking hundreds of troops. In Trump's own words, we're risking hundreds of troops. So that's not good at all. Not good at all. And so ultimately, that's all I have to say for this episode. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, stay prudent, stay powerful, and stay wealthy. And I will